And this might be the most important tip I can share with you today. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about this video. I am so passionate about the topic of growing on YouTube, and I've been wanting to film this video for so long. Today is the day. I'm gonna be talking about my YouTube journey, how long it took me to hit 1,000 subscribers, and sharing some tips that has helped me grow, and just being real and honest about my whole journey, because it is not easy growing a YouTube channel. And I know, when I started my channel, I watched so many of these videos and it helped me a lot, but I also realized there wasn't a lot of people that I found that had the similar experiences to me. A lot of them, like, they grew within like a few months or even a year, and it took me way longer than a year. It took me many years. In fact, it took me over 4 years. It took me 4 years and 7 months. I finally hit 1K subscribers on May 6, 2025, just almost a month ago. And I started my channel back in September of 2020, September 28th to be exact, of 2020. And yeah, it took me a long time to get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's start off with how long it took me to hit my first 100 subscribers. Well, actually, before I do that, I started my channel near the end of 2020, so I really only had October, November, and December. So I ended 2020 with 61 subscribers. I honestly think that's pretty good starting out, but I will say, I can guarantee you those 61 subscribers were probably 99% people I knew, because I told everyone about my YouTube channel. I was not afraid. I just wanted everyone to know because I really wanted to grow, and I knew it was gonna take a long time. So I personally would recommend sharing your channel to people you know. However, one thing I would keep in mind with that is your family, your friends may not be your target audience. While it is helpful to get yourself going and get subscribers that way, your goal is to hopefully get subscribers that are your target audience, because your friends and your family, like, they will subscribe to you, but they may not watch your videos just because they're not your target audience, if that makes sense. So you want to be careful with that, but I would still recommend, especially in the beginning, just to get yourself going. I think it can be really helpful. I actually wrote down a bunch of notes in my journal because I want to give you the exact numbers, because I am a numbers person. I hit my first 100 subscribers around 7 months of posting on YouTube, and that was May 10th of 2021, and I was so excited. I so remember that day, and it was amazing. And then I ended my first year of doing YouTube. I ended with 138 subscribers, and I was so proud of myself. Like, I know, like I said, there's so many people who grow like 1,000 subscribers within a year, but I was so proud of myself that I got to 100, like past 100 subscribers within a year. My first tip for growing a channel, and this might be the most important tip I can share with you today, and that is learning the YouTube algorithm and YouTube SEO. This was something I realized quickly starting my channel. I was so passionate about it, and that is simply because I am an analytic type of person. I love numbers. I love looking at analytics. It is my favorite thing. So it was very easy for me to learn the YouTube algorithm, to learn, click-through rate and average view duration and what impressions are. I know a lot of people, they struggle with that, and they're not so passionate about that part of YouTube. But the reality is, and this may be like a harsh reality, but if you truly want to grow, you need to take the time to learn the YouTube algorithm and YouTube SEO. It is very important. it's gonna be super hard for you to grow if you don't understand the analytics, the metrics, especially click-through rate, average view durations. Like, those are so important. I can guarantee you that a person that understands the YouTube algorithm, that knows about YouTube SEO, will grow a lot faster than a person who doesn't. A person who doesn't understand those things are essentially relying on luck. And do you really want to rely on luck in order to grow your channel? You probably don't. I know I might want to rely on luck. And we all know that there is some luck with growing a YouTube channel. No matter how much you know about growing, there is some luck. However, if you can increase your chances, you should do that. I can't emphasize this enough. If you do not understand the numbers, the analytics behind your videos, it's gonna be extremely hard for you to grow. The first 2 years on my YouTube channel, I will definitely say it was extremely slow growth. I barely grew any subscribers. In 2021, I only gained 83 subscribers. And that is crazy to think about. And then in 2022, I gained even less subscribers. And I tried to like look back into my analytics and figure out like why it was even worse than 2021, because that is so interesting to me. But I think it was just because, one, like, I'll be honest, if you look back on my old videos, and I still have so many of my old videos up just because I think it's important to like see just like the progress. I love seeing that from other creators, just seeing how much they have grown. So I'm gonna keep them up even though they literally suck. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I would say definitely my first 200 was like the slowest, like hardest part of my YouTube journey, because my first 100 took 7 months, which I was happy about, but then I didn't get to 200. My next 100 subscribers took a year and a half. I didn't hit 200 subscribers until November of 2022. That is so crazy to think about. Wow. Anyway, going to my next tip, what I did do in 2022 that led into 2023, which was a turning point in my YouTube journey and my channel and just, you know, my content and growing, was I posted my first YouTube short in 2022. And it was, to be exact, October 22nd, 2022. And it didn't do well. It didn't do well at all. And it was a little frustrating because I remember that specific YouTube short took me a while to do. And it kind of discouraged me. And I didn't post another YouTube short for months. Until 2023. And it was February of 2023. The second short that I ever posted on my channel was my highlights of one of my basketball games, maybe my first basketball game of the 2023 season, I believe. And quickly after I posted that, I realized, wow, this is getting a bit of traction, which I was not used to. And then, you know, that made me interested in this because I also posted a long form video of talking about how I'm starting to play basketball for the first time in 3 years. I didn't realize at the time that there was so many like people who like were interested in this content. I had no idea, but that was the beginning of what, you know, would like grow my YouTube channel in that year. Since I realized that topic was doing so well, I started posting more YouTube shorts around like basketball highlights, and I started posting more basketball videos. I also, at the same time, since I realized, oh, those shorts are doing pretty well, maybe I should, you know, test out some other topics. And that's when I decided to do like one-handed you know, tutorials of how I do things with one hand, because, you know, if you didn't know, I have cerebral palsy. I can only use my left arm, so I started to make like a series of it. Those socks were doing very well too, and that's when I started experimenting with other, you know, types of socks and just, you know, testing things out. And I, at this point, have gained close to 400 subscribers with guest socks. I think that is so interesting. I personally would recommend doing YouTube socks, but I will say make sure it adds value. I feel like that is like for any video you post on YouTube, you want it to have some value, whether it be entertainment or like educational or like something. Like if you're posting a vlog, you want, you know, at least for me, you want it to be like relatable, because if you just posting shorts to just post them, then they may not do well. However, if they have value to it, then there's a good chance it will do well. Going back to 3 years on YouTube, September 28th, 2023, I had 359 subscribers, and I ended that year with 425 subscribers. I gained, all of 2023, I gained 218 subscribers. I went from the year before that, 2022, with only gaining 63 subscribers to gaining 218. That is like mind-blowing to me. I kept what was working for me into 2024. I knew, you know, my backward videos were doing so well. Once my season, you know, started, I, you know, made basketball vlogs. I talk about my season. I show highlights from my games, both in my long-form videos, but also in my YouTube shorts. And my 4 years mark on YouTube, I had 705 subscribers, and I ended 2024 with, I believe, 842 subscribers. I gained 417 subscribers, all in 2024. I actually wrote down in my journal like the big like milestones, I guess you would say, like mini milestones. I'll put the timeline like right here so you can see it. I think it's so interesting. I thought before I end this video, I would share a few more tips that I have that really helped me. And the next one is quality over quantity. And you probably have heard about this before by many people, but it is truly something I believe, and I think it looks different for everyone. If you feel like you can post like 3 times a week and those videos will be high quality, then you go for it. If you think you can post every day and do that, you go for it. However, you should be honest with yourself, and that was how I was, because I started my channel with posting 2 times a week, and I did that for maybe a year. I don't know, it was, I think I made it a year, I don't know, but at a certain point, I realized that I was kind of rushing, you know, one of the videos every week. I wasn't, you know, able to put my all into every video, so that's when I decided I'm going to just do 1 video a week. And I think sometimes it's the idea of, oh, well, if I post more, then I have a greater chance of YouTube like pushing one of my videos and, you know, it doing well. However, not necessarily. Like, yes, on one hand, the more videos you put out, the greater chance that, you know, YouTube will, you know, pick up one of your videos and it will do well. However, if all those videos are not the best quality, then it will be harder, because once people, you know, find your video, starts watching it, they will be able to tell. And you don't want that. You want to be able to know that you put as much effort into that video as you can. But remember, there's no such thing as a perfect video. The next thing is all about niching. You probably have heard about what, you know, niching down is, and everyone's like, oh, you have to have a niche. For me, I feel like it's more important to have a theme among your channel. So instead of thinking about niching, think about it as a theme. So for me, it is sharing my life with cerebral palsy, my disabilities. I definitely think if you niche down, you have a high increased chance of growing. I don't think it's the only way to grow. Yes, if you want to grow fast, definitely niche down. For example, baking or cooking, even cooking. If you are just making videos about cooking, food, all your videos is about cooking, it's going to be so easy for the YouTube algorithm to know what your channel is about because you're only talking and, you know, doing one thing on your channel. However, if you're doing a bunch of things like cooking, you know, vlogs, showing how to do calculus, that is a bunch of different topics that are all over the place, and it's gonna be very hard for YouTube to understand like what your audience is, and it's gonna be hard for YouTube to sell your videos to that specific audience. The last thing that I think is so important to remember, and especially if you're watching, you know, a bunch of videos of, you know, how to grow on YouTube, you know, best tips to grow, like what you need to know, I think it's so important to never stop experimenting, especially if you're just starting your channel, because you're gonna hear so many different tips. You truly don't know if they're gonna work for you unless you try. For being successful on YouTube, there's truly no blueprint for that. If there was, everyone who ever started a channel would be successful, but that is not the reality. In fact, only 8 to 10% of people, YouTubers, ever get to 1,000 subscribers, and I think that is such an important like statistic and something that motivated me. But that is all the tips I'm gonna share with you today. Maybe if you like this video, I can do a whole other video just on, you know, more YouTube advice. Definitely give this video a thumbs up if you would like that, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, where I share my life living with cerebral palsy, and definitely follow me on social media, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Have an amazing day. Bye.